Welcome back to What She Said. We're just waiting for more people to join. Today, we got some topics. Got a few topics to talk about and confirm some conversations that we had in the chat yesterday. So, welcome back to What She Said. First, I want to talk about what I think is breaking news, and I don't know why people aren't talking about this more. It's like in print, digitally, but people aren't really talking about it like I thought they would. So yesterday on the live, one of the What She Said supporters actually, yo, Bumpty 5 times, Bumpty 5 times. Welcome. How are you doing? I'm good. I'm better. I'm still nasally from the allergies, but I'm up, so that's good. That's really good. So today I wanted to talk about how are you doing, Bumpty? How are you doing? So today I want to talk about a conversation where we left off yesterday in the chat. It was confirmed in the chat or it was said in the chat that Colorado had cut ties with its NIL. And I was like, what? Okay. So one of the questions that I had was, could they even do that? Because NIL Collectives, which is a nonprofit 501c3 independent of the university, tasked with fundraising money and paying players for like services. And I felt like NIL was one of the sticking points for Colorado, meaning they didn't have a robust NIL reserve to pay players. So as it turns out, we were talking about this in the chat yesterday. I'd have to go back through the replay to see who it was that said Colorado cut ties with its NIL. I confirmed that. That is true. I asked, is that possible? And the answer to the question is yes, if the university changes the rules for its NIL. And that's exactly what University of Colorado did. Not only did it change its NIL rules to benefit what's going to be NIL of the future due to like, I guess it was like a lawsuit, a settlement, the NCAA versus the House. And it seems that the House is winning. So we're going to talk about this settlement. It's huge. One aspect of it is really huge because somebody asked me about it the other day and I said, no, they don't have that. Here we go. So Colorado, along with the University of Central Florida, are two of the schools leading the way in terms of changing the rules of its NIL and cutting ties with its NIL collective. So let's talk about the collective versus NIL. Okay, so NIL is name, image, and likeness. And that's where you see stars like Caitlin Clark with Gatorade. You know, that deal was predicated, they wanted to, at Gatorade, wanted to access, use her name, image, and likeness. And same thing with Shedeur Sanders at Gatorade, Juju Watkins, Travis Hunter with Adidas. That's what NIL is, just name, image, and likeness. Now they have something called an NIL Collective that came along in 2021 when the Supreme Court ruled that athletes could benefit from their name, image, and likeness and make money off of it. So that really turned the landscape upside down, and it basically took what people call amateur, made college football like pro-am, a professional amateur type league. So they get paid big bucks. Y'all know Bryce Underwood received $10 million. Now that case is interesting. NIL collectives are independent, nonprofit, 501c3s that benefit from tax exempt status, like a church. They don't pay taxes, and their donors are encouraged to donate because they receive tax-free donations, tax-free charitable donations. So if you donate $2,000 to a collective, NIL collective, right now, you can write it off on your taxes. But you better hurry up because that's getting ready to change. So Um, NIL is intact, fully in swing. NIL collectives are on the hot seat. What happened is they weren't supposed to be working with the university. They were supposed to be independent. They were supposed to be raising money, helping players get deals, NIL deals, and paying players for services. Okay, so, and it seems like a lot of the services were like charitable. So University of Colorado football players were paid money to deliver backpacks to the boys and girls clubs, like to stuff the backpacks and then deliver them to the boys and girls club. That's just one example, right? Welcome, 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 welcome. And oh, hey, I see y'all in the chat. Welcome. So the IRS took a look at this because really they were complaints. What happened is, I told you, NILs are just glorified booster clubs, and with legal structure, which means they had a 501c3 status, so they was winning. But the problem is, they started interfering in recruiting, and they started doing what NIL collectives were not supposed to do: pay for play. That was never the intent. It was never, let me go get so and so out of high school, give him $10 million to leave this school and go to this school. It wasn't. That's not what it was supposed to be. And the fact that the coaches wasn't involved with it, the university wasn't involved with it, as you can see, it muddied the waters, like too many hands in the pot. Because Coach Prime and his team does the recruiting, right? Then you have the university who does the budgeting, the operations, and everything. But then you have this independent charity, a 501c3, paying players. So it was, to me, it was a bastion of fraud. That's what it was. So the IRS said, you know what? We don't see any reason why you should have a tax exempt status. So what happened? NILs got scared. The collectives got scared, ran out, and some of them started becoming for profit. So if I don't have a tax exempt status, I have to pay taxes, number one. So now I got to make some money. I got to generate revenue. How do I generate revenue? Well, I can maybe be an agent to some of the athletes, and they can pay me once they get their deals, like 3% of their deals. But I got to go find them a deal. So you got to go do some work now. See, before you didn't have to do no work. The money just came rolling in because you have wealthy donors who like, hey, yeah, I want that tax refund. I want that tax deduction. So yeah, I'm gonna give you $10,000. You give me a receipt for a charitable or a deduction, and we good. But nobody knew what happened to the money, the $10,000 that was donated. So last year, Colorado only had 24 players on NIL. And I said, oh, okay, now I think I'm starting to understand what's going on. So Colorado had an NIL collective, right, called the 5430 Alliance. An alliance is like a collaboration between groups of people, right? So that's exactly what it was. There was something called Buffs for Life, which benefited all athletes that go to Colorado. Then there was already a 5430 Foundation, which benefited like the football team or something like that, right? Well, the 5430 Foundation is named after the elevation of the mountains in Boulder. So what happened is Buffs for Life, NIL collective for every program, athletic program, and 5430 combined to be 5430 Alliance to focus on the football team, right? So when you look at the money that the 5430 Alliance generated, it just wasn't there. In fact, Travis didn't take any money from NIL. I don't think Shadua did. Travis and Shadua were some of the biggest donors of this particular NIL collective. There are receipts somewhere documented saying that some people only got paid $10. So I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to understand why some of these players were disgruntled. It's starting to make sense. You got 24 people out of 80 something, 85, making money, and the rest of them not, but they all on the same team working towards the same goal. I said, oh, okay, now it's making sense. Now check this out. I think in 23 or 24, I think it was 2023, the University of Texas was paying its O-linemen $50,000 to protect their quarterback. Remember what happened to our O-line in 23? Yeah. So it's all starting to make sense now. And I knew NIL had something to do with this because I remember people said Carmani McClain, it was rumored that he was paid $25,000 a month at CU. and he still wouldn't go to class. I was like, what? Like that. And, there are rules in place that the schools aren't supposed to be working with the NIL deals. And then there's emails out there that they were talking. I mean, nothing bad happened, but they weren't supposed to be talking. So now that the IRS has said, you know what, I don't see any just cause as to why you shouldn't be paying taxes. So we're going to work on that. And since you got to pay taxes, we don't know why you will be able to receive donations that are tax-free. So that just turned NIL collectives on their heads. So that's one story. That's one issue. Now, NILs are panicking and trying to figure out how to stay afloat because now they got to go do some work. It's not just the same as some, fat wallet opening up and giving you $10,000 and they getting a receipt to show that they made a charitable deduction. Now you got to go out here and generate some money, which means you got to do some work, and you can't just get tax-free deductions like that no more. You have to sell something to get something. So they in trouble. They're basically turning on their heads trying to figure out how to survive. So that's collectives. We don't care about that. Colorado cut ties with its collectives that we don't care about no more. In fact, all of the social media links and websites for the 5430 Alliance, the football team's NIL Collective, don't work. I'm like, okay, something happened here. It's something happened here. I don't know how I'm gonna get to the bottom of it. If y'all can enlighten me, if you want to start Googling and figuring out what happened to the 5430 Alliance at Colorado, that's cool with it. Something happened there. The gentleman that was over the 5430 Alliance is an alum from Colorado named Eric Belcher. And when people wanted to find out how much the NIL was making, I noticed his response was always, in my opinion, kind of vague. And he never said a dollar amount. He just said, we'll be able to be competitive, right? So as it turns out, a reporter who was responding to what's called CU open records request, which means the media has a right to request some information that not generally available to the public. He asked him directly, well, UT is paying its O lineman $50,000. Seems like each. And how is Colorado going to be able to pay its players that kind of money to be competitive? He said, oh, we'll be competitive. We'll be competitive. That was his answer. So now you can, and that was in 23. Now you can kind of see why maybe the O-line was wigging out a little bit, because they're like, hold on, they making 50 G's over here. And you got this dude making 25,000. Only 24 people out of 82 are getting paid, and you want us to protect him? He got Gatorade. He has KFC. He has this. He is Shador. But Shador is Shador Sanders. And if you want to go to the NFL, you can't be mad at how much the quarterback makes. But I do understand that when it comes to NIL, remember, you have to do work, have a service to get paid. And if they got paid just for distributing backpacks for the Boys and Girls Club, that tell me why they lost that's why they parted ways. Because Coach Prime said, so y'all basically paying people just for nothing, really. And their grades aren't even good. So Coach Prime didn't like that. He said, no. I don't want you out here getting a bag if you're not doing the work. Incomes change. Monday morning, it was reported that Colorado, following an email from Rick George, the athletic director, announcing Colorado has cut ties with the 5430 Alliance. And Colorado is preparing for the changes in NIL ahead. What he's talking about is the settlement from a lawsuit dealing with the NCAA and the House. This is what I think is interesting. Now, universities can pay the players directly. So now the players going forward will be paid directly by CU. They are being looked at kind of like CU employees, but not really. So I don't need the NIL to pay them for passing out no backpacks no more. You're going to get paid by CU. And it's based on a revenue sharing model of how much the total revenue is. It's not supposed to be any more than $22 million. Now, so Colorado has essentially $22 million if it continues to make money to pay 85 people every year. So, Colorado, Coach Prime be raking in the dough. That's why they're going to sign that contract and make sure Coach Prime stay right there and get paid. Because if they don't have that money, how they going to pay the players? So they can still attach themselves to an NIL, but check this out. The NIL can be in-house now. it can be a division of the University of Colorado. So Colorado will go set up shop to be an NIL agency and every day have people working to get deals for the players. Yeah, isn't that something? So they taking everything that the NIL Collective did was supposed to be getting opportunities, paying the players, and brought it in-house. I like that. For one, it cuts down on a lot of fraud, and two, it allows Coach Prime and the Colorado University to have some control because NIL collectives were getting involved in recruiting when they had no business. That's not what they were supposed to be doing. They were supposed to just be out there getting deals and fundraising money for the players to be paid. So now that Colorado is moving towards this settlement, the procedures based on the settlement, they changed the NIL rules. After that, they cut ties with 5430 NIL Alliance, which was for the football team. So Colorado said, so now we've insulated ourselves. We can pay the players directly up to $22 million a year based on revenue sharing, because the schools share revenue and then the departments share revenue. It's capped at $22 million. So let's say Colorado wants to pay two people $12 million each. That's $24 million, right? So essentially, you can tap into that in-house NIL and use that money. Or you can tap into what's called the Buffs Club and use that money. Or you can, to get donations from your boosters and use that money. So to me, it went from being a third party to now moving in-house with greater control and oversight. So that's why on Monday, Coach Prime, I heard him say to the players, I don't want to hear about getting no D's. He said, I maybe can't affect your check. He said, I maybe don't write your check, but I can impact your check. So Colorado CU is writing the checks. And Coach Prime, if they get D's and they not doing good, it ain't going down. It ain't going down. Y'all gonna hear, if they don't get their crap together, these players, and they don't go to class, they gonna get kicked off that team. They gonna be out there to be the only one not getting paid. So another thing, now that's, so y'all follow me. So NIL collectives have changed. The school has the option of working with a collective. Colorado has their own. The Buff Club is what they suggest you give to, and they have something else. In addition to paying the players directly, Colorado already has in place, I looked at it, it's called CUNIL Exchange. What that does is it allows corporations to go on there, sign up, and work with players like Jimmy Horn Jr., Chidozie Nwankwo, Alejandro Mata directly, cutting out the NIL Collective. So I hope y'all follow me. So let me see what y'all saying. Welcome. Okay, let's see. Street Lion, I like. What? I got a question, which would be, hey James, welcome. Good evening. Gracie, welcome back. Leon, greetings. What are we talking about? We're talking about NIL and how it's confirmed. Gracie, was that you that said yesterday that somebody in the chat yesterday posted that Colorado has cut ties with its NIL? Whoever that was, identify yourself. If not, I have to go back and look at the replay for the chat. But I was just confirming that that is the case and what that means for Colorado since they cut ties with their NIL and why they're moving the way they are in terms of paying players directly, taking their NIL collective, the Buff Club, and doing it in-house, what it means for NIL collective. So we were talking about that. 1, 2, 3, I see a baddie. Thank you, Mason, I appreciate it. NCAA closed down 5430. Okay, so that's what happened to it. So thank you, Blue Devil. So that's why their social media, their websites all gone. The NCAA said, y'all gotta be out of here. Does anybody know why? Because other NIL collectives are still around and they still may have ties with the university, but Colorado and UCF and maybe 2 other schools decided to move away. If anybody has any details, please feel free to share that insight. Man, they having obviously blessings. Gracie, it says, now that sounds a lot closer to what's being done in other schools. Correct, Gracie. This is more beneficial. Absolutely. It's more beneficial to the players. I mean, so essentially it was like a ruse. Okay, y'all go over here and stuff these backpacks and give them to, I guess, like the Boys and Girls Club, which is a good thing, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and pay you. I heard somebody's NIL deal was $10. They had 2 deals that were $10. So the money, we don't know like where it was coming from, where it was going, how much was being paid to players. The reporting was just inept. So to me, that's just chaos. So I like what's new. Now, one thing about the House settlement that I also like, in addition to the fact that universities can pay the players directly, the NCAA or the House settlement will be retroactive for Division I athletes. So if you played before NIL came along in 2021, you could possibly get retroactive pay. That's the part that I put a pin in because I want to know what that looks like. Like, how far back are they going? Are they going back all the way to 2009? There was a gentleman in 2009 who noticed his name, he noticed his image and likeness in a video game, a basketball game. And that's where the lawsuit started. So I want to know how far they're going back. So I'm going to have to do some more research on that. And then, because Colorado gets paid for the games to be on TV, you know, that $22 million cap that they have every year that they can use to pay players, because all of Colorado's games are on TV, every player can get paid because technically that is NIL. Just for playing the game. So now you don't have to go stuff no backpacks. You played in 12 games for Colorado, you get paid for playing for 12 games in Colorado. I like that. So now they're starting to recognize the athletes going to the games, playing in the games, or just being on TV is essentially an NIL deal, because no athlete signed a waiver to be on TV. So yeah, technically that's NIL. I like that too. Let's see. It says no grades, no money. Yep, that's how Coach Prime feels. And he's right. And congratulations to the Colorado Buffaloes football team from last year. They have a cumulative 3.0 GPA. For a football team, that's pretty good, because the emphasis is not always on the academic part. Shout out to Coach Prime, the students that did the work, any tutors that they had, and the staff for encouraging them to hit those books. I think that's impressive. That stuff like that is why, that type of achievement is why I think Coach Prime really should be like Coach of the Year. Shout out to Blue Devil for that. Gracie, it said it may have been due to the number that the 5430 had no money. Yeah, how they don't have no money? Like, that's, so yeah, you saying that's why the IRS shut it down. But when the IRS did its investigation, it said there were NIL collectives out there that they don't think warranted. They weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. And that could be one of it. And that might be why nobody's talking about this. Hold on. That might be why nobody's talking about this. I'm shocked that like ESPN isn't talking about the NIL, and I think it's huge. It's a big change. So athletes, you don't even have to do anything other than play in the games, and you can still get paid. And they don't have to use all 22 million per year. That's a lot of money. Anybody can 22 million divided by 85 players, and I'm sure that includes the practice squad too. What is that number? What does that look like? Like 85 players, 22 million divided by 85 players. I'm just curious. Is that like $2,500? But that depends on how often they would get paid too. Let me know what that number is. No grades, no money. Can't understand 5430 is broke. Absolutely. Like, how is 54? But see, if you go back and you look at the interviews that were done with the leader, the guy who put together 5430, he was very vague. Like, when they said, are you going to be able to compete? UT is paying his lineman $50,000. He said, oh yeah, we'll be able to compete. Where's that money? You know, do they even know how much money was raised for 5430? It had only been around since March of 2024. So technically, was that 9 months? Um, and then now it's gone, and then all of their social media is gone. So there's something to that story. But now I think in terms of Coach Prime's staying at Colorado, I think because of the way NIL is structured now, I could see him staying. And I could see Nick Saban might want to come back now. See, Nick Saban, I don't think he liked those collectives. I'm gonna assume that that's what it was. But that could open the door for like Nick Saban to come back for a year or two, just to get Alabama together. Because now the NIL is different, you know, maybe that'll entice him to come back. Yeah, that's crazy that they didn't have any money. So that's the skinny on NIL. So what do y'all think about the House versus NCAA settlement, which will pay players retroactively who played Division I football? What do y'all think that will look like? I'm curious. I want to know, like, I was talking about it with somebody else. They said, you know, they might just pay like all the starters from the teams going back maybe 5 years, maybe all the Heisman like winners and stuff like that. Like, that's a lot of football, you know, that took place. So how far back do you go? Do you pay the starters, the practice squad, you know, special teams? How do you think they're gonna do that? That's what I was wondering about. So that's basically that's it. That's the only question I had. Like, how is it? It says sounds like a forensic audit is warranted. You mean for 5430? I mean, I don't know. I think that's interesting. And he's an alum at CU, so somebody knows something. Somebody knows something. But yeah, they had 24 players. But now you could kind of see that this is why some of the players were disgruntled. And I do think it's interesting that the journalist that was interviewing the lead person on 5430 used the example for UT's offensive line being paid $50,000. That right there, now that you look at our offensive line in 23, you look at UT, the interviewer asking the question, knowing the problems we had with the offensive line, and the gentleman who responded, Eric Belcher, just said, we'll be able to compete. So he's saying we should have been able to pay our offensive line the same way that UT did. And y'all know that didn't happen. Y'all know that didn't happen. So, yes, to determine whether money was spent or not. For sure. You know, with them being independent, I don't know how CU, I don't know if CU is going to take up that effort. See, if they were a part of CU, then yeah, an audit could immediately be, it would be up to the IRS. That would be on the IRS at this point, especially if the IRS is the reason that the 5430 collective shut down. Colorado, you know, they were independent of CU. So that would be on the IRS at this point, and anybody, I guess, you know, affiliated with 5430 that maybe feel like they might take the blame. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So are there any other topics y'all want to talk about tonight other than NIL? Like I said, coming out of NIL, the settlement that's coming, 5430 going away, the House versus NCAA settlement, to me, it's the Division I retro payments. That's got to be huge. And they said that the settlement is already agreed upon in principle, but that a judge, Claudia Wilkins, has to actually approve it. And y'all know we get ready to go through an administration change in the country and with the federal government. Y'all know that with the presidents, right? NCAA wants federal regulation. So I'm wondering, like, everybody's moving toward the House settlement procedures, but is it a possibility that with the change in the federal government as to who's president, you know, who's sitting president, and the fact that the NCAA probably has been lobbying Congress to put federal rules in place, because it's a patchwork of state rules. I'm wondering if that is going to change the settlement. Like, are they going to review it again rather than let the judge approve it? If you have any thoughts about that, if y'all are in the judicial community, y'all let me know. Because I do think that is interesting. I do think that is interesting. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, now I thought about this too, because yes, it is very possible, Gracie. Gracie, were you the person that said yesterday that told the chat about Colorado cutting ties with its NIL collective? Somebody posted it in the chat yesterday. I was wondering if that was you. I just want to know how these retroactive payments gonna go, because it's a lot of athletes. Like, they're gonna have to cap it off somewhere, unless everybody get $25. Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Kelsey's channel. Welcome, Kelsey. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're talking about NIL Collective and the fact that Colorado cut ties with its NIL Collective. And I'm shocked that more people aren't talking about this, because it's huge. We were talking about how the 5430 NIL Collective, all their social media websites are all taken down. There's nothing there. Stuff like that. It says, can you please say, can I do what? I can't even see it to say it. But let's see. D1 having a commissioner. Oh, that's going to be one of the new installations. Who said that? Blue Devil, are you saying that D1 having a commissioner is also a part of the settlement? Okay. That's interesting. So they'll have a commissioner like the NFL. Okay. I do think that's interesting. Let's see. So, all right, y'all. I guess we are gonna be done for tonight. Like I said, I'm probably gonna do a long form video on this. I'm going to see if I can find out any more information on whether or not, there's already procedure in place for the retro payments for D1, and probably talk about that in my long form video. Good evening. Welcome back, Kai. Welcome back. Welcome back. But yeah, I think we're gonna wrap this live up. Gracie, I always appreciate you. Blue Devil, same. James, thank you so much. I appreciate y'all for hopping on. Thank you, Mason. Thank you. I want to thank everybody for hopping on tonight. We'll be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. daily. Y'all start thinking of topics y'all want to talk about, because at some point I'm gonna throw y'all the baton and say, okay, what do y'all want to talk about? And everything at Colorado is in flux in terms of now the NIL. The collective has been dissolved. They can pay the players directly, and retro payments for D1. So yeah, we're gonna talk about that. So I'm gonna hop off here, and I'm gonna catch y'all later on. I have some long form videos to put out. And stay tuned, turn your notifications on, and I'll see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central. Thank you. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Peace.